Hi, welcome or welcome back. If traditional planners have ever made you feel broken, then this video is definitely for you. If you've been told you just need to have more discipline or more consistency, more willpower, and somehow that advice never quite works, this workbook is built as a gentle rebellion against that idea. This is the Lunar Aligned Goals grimoire by Cauldron and Quills. I created it myself, and today I am going to show you exactly how to use it in a way that actually works for ADHD brains, chronic illness, fluctuating energy, and real human life. You don't need to use it perfectly, you don't need to fill in every page, and you don't even need to start at the beginning. So let's walk through this together. Why this works differently. On page 1 and 2, it explains the core philosophy. Most planners assume your energy is completely predictable, motivation is consistent, and a missed day must mean complete failure. This workbook rejects that entirely. Instead of planning by rigid timelines, you plan by cycles. The moon waxes, wanes, disappears and returns, and it absolutely does not apologise for resting, and neither should you. This system is energy based, not time based. This means that when we plan around our nervous system and how our nervous system behaves, not how productivity and culture should say it should be, it aligns more with you as an individual and your needs. Therefore, the system is built specifically for you and how you generally live your life. So next we've got energy over time, and I recommend that before you set a single goal, you map your energy first. So page 3, you'll see energy over time. Instead of tracking your hours, you track your patterns. The dated lunar overview calendar on page 4 is there for you to mark high energy days. So you might, for example, track spoons, which is quite a traditional way for chronically ill individuals to track their energy. You could use a system where you track, for example, 3 colours: high, medium, low energy. So you might use red for low energy, yellow for medium energy, and green for high energy. And then you might want to track those days where you do have energy but you have, say, a lot of brain fog. Maybe you're an individual that struggles with brain fog, so you might want to track at what level that fog is coming in at. You might also want to track symbols or just marks, so you might use lines, circles, squares, shapes, or smiley faces, neutral faces and sad faces. There are many ways of doing this. Whatever works for you is the right way. How I recommend you use this: it's not set in stone, you do you. You can definitely adapt it. Track 1 full lunar cycle before making any decisions, so it's more clearer when you feel natural clarity. When does the brain fog roll in? When does your motivation spike? And on the following page, on page 5, you get a reflection of what my energy is likely to support this season. So that could be something like a decluttering task, it could be an admin task, it could be working on specific goals. And then you move on to what patterns you notice. So the more you can track here, the more you will have to write here, because you'll be able to see the correlation between the phases or between the cycles. You don't have to use the moon phases, you can completely ignore them, but instead use it as a cycle. So it's not a month to month from the first of the month to the last day of the month. It's more broken down into individual cycles, whether you use the moon or not. This will prevent you from choosing goals that fight your biology. We work in a rhythm, not against it. So this kind of correlation with your energy will help you set goals in a way where you can plan to do your goals when your energy is better. So those goals that are going to take up more energy, you do when you feel like you've got more energy. Those tasks that maybe take 10 minutes, maybe you can do them on a brain fog day. The low energy tasks, you can do them when you're burnt out, for example, and you can plan your tasks and your goals based on your energy rather than saying, okay, well, I'm just going to get this done by the 27th of June. You know, it doesn't always pan out like that. Okay, pages 6 to 8 are brainstorming, but not the stressful kind. This section is the desire seed section. There are no commitments, no obligations, just desires. So on page 6, you will see some gentle prompts. You'll see some life areas that you might want to explore. You can edit them, whatever fits you, use those. And you might want a list, a mind map, just use a bunch of messy words. It doesn't have to be neat. It's a planning exercise, not a set in stone exercise. So be curious, write any ideas down. You can scribble half-formed ideas. You can use pages 7 and 8 on this. There is a blank page if you want to do a brainstorm. You can turn the page this way if it works better. And then we have a list page that does have some faint lines on there. So I would usually use both of these pages. I would brainstorm my ideas. I might use a second piece of paper, and then I would break that down a little bit more in a bullet point list. Moving on, we are then choosing our anchors on page 9, and we just narrow it down gently. From everything that you've written, just choose 1 to 3 anchors or intentions for the season. It's not going to be forever, it's not going to be for the whole year, just keep it to the cycle. You can choose anchors by asking yourself, what fits my energy map? What would make life feel lighter? ADHD brains thrive when they're not overloaded. 3 is powerful, 1 is enough. These anchors are the centre of your planning. So this step is quite an important step. And use your energy map to correlate with your goals. If you are finding the start of the cycle very difficult, then choose goals that have tasks in them that don't drain you completely. Otherwise you will just end up with burnout. You need to match your tasks to your energy and go from there. Moving on, we have the micro spells, which is page 10 to 16, and this is where the magic becomes practical. Big goals fail when they're too big, so we're going to break them down into micro spells, tiny low function actions. So keep the tasks under 15 minutes, make them doable on foggy days. Focus on moving your energy and not perfection. We are not thriving for perfection. We are looking to just move energy and move towards that goal at whatever pace is necessary for you as an individual. Then we use the task breakdown. So we will write our anchor and our goal, and we'll break them down on this table. So moving energy tasks, your brain fog tasks, and your 15 minutes or less tasks. That way you can see what you're going to be doing when your energy is completely flat. So you'll choose a 15-minute task. On a brain fog day task, if your energy is okay but you're really foggy, you'll have an idea of what you need to do. And those bigger tasks, moving energy tasks, you pop in here. And then we have our goal action plan, where we write our intention or our goal and we break all of our tasks down. We don't want to make our tasks too big. If they feel like they're too big, we're just going to abandon it. You switch to a smaller task. Resistance usually means that the task is too big, so break it again. If something feels like I can't do that, break it down again. If you feel like the task is small already, it doesn't matter. Break it into a 5-minute task. Break a 15-minute task into 3 5-minute tasks. It really doesn't matter because you're still pushing towards that goal. We do have multiple pages for these. So you've got a task breakdown and a goal action. I think we've got that 3 times, yes. You can print this page out again. Lots of printers will let you just print one page. My printer is a double-sided printer, whether yours is or not. You can choose to print page 14 or 15 as many times as you like. The same with any of the other exercises. If you need more space, print more sheets, whatever works for you. So page 17 to 20 is the lunar rhythm planning with the moon. And you get a breakdown of what the moon means and what it can bring. So the new moon is for rest and intention. The first quarter is for action and momentum. The full moon is visibility and completion. And the third quarter is adjustment and release. So this is where you're reflecting. It's where you're looking back at how things have worked and you make adjustments and you release the things that you might be holding on to. If you're the type of person to have a lot of negative talk, maybe you're a bit of a self-punisher and you're hard on yourself if you don't reach specific expectations, maybe this is something that will really work for you. The visibility and completion is where you might finish tasks, you might share your work, submit your work, celebrate your progress. And your action and momentum is starting small, building momentum, experimenting with things, problem solving. And your rest and intention is for nervous system regulation. You're using this to rest yourself, your intention setting, you're imagining without any pressure. So you might go back a few stages in this workbook and redo the system to fit the next cycle, and that's absolutely fine. You then have your cycle review. So you've got your date from and your date to. Ask yourself, what is my general energy expectation? What is my pain focus? And for each phase, you can write in there just a few sentences, nothing big. What no longer deserves your energy this cycle? And is this an ideal time to downgrade tasks? And then we have a little third quarter focus. So things that you might be able to release that will make you feel lighter. And there's a space here for your year overview. There's a space here that you can use your year overview along with to assign micro spells and to your phases. So this page goes with this page. and this is more of a calendar view. So you can write Monday to Sunday or Sunday to Saturday across the top, and use this as more of a calendar view if your brain will process it better that way. So you'll take your energy from your year overview, you'll take your list of micro spells, and you'll pop them in your calendar view. Next up, we are on the tracking. So tracking is absolutely necessary. If you can't see your progress, you are going to automatically sit and assume that nothing is happening. And you can look back and you can say, oh, okay, well, I did do this one thing and I did do that other thing, so I have done something, but there's nothing to physically see. You need that element of physically seeing what you're doing, how you're progressing. You need to make it as easy as you can possibly make it so that you can keep up with it. So it might be that you have 5 micro spells, and for each micro spell that you complete, you place a dot on a tracking system. It could be as simple as that. You could think, okay, well, I want to work on my mood. So you put mood symbols for each day and walk away, or you use a colour system. So I always give a traffic light system as an example. So red is always the worst, green is always the best, and yellow or orange is the middle ground. That might work for you. You could use short journaling reflections, you could use photos or screenshots of things, just something that you can look back on and say, okay, I did do this. It feels this way, but I did do it. And you'll build that confidence in yourself along the way. Right, we've got when the fog rolls in. So basically we are planning for any obstacles that might come along. If you are neurodiverse or have chronic illness, then you already know that your energy can dip, you might get sensory overload, you get motivation crashes, or just unexpected life stuff. So what we want to do in this section is plan for when something might come up. So if I wake up exhausted and in pain, then I will choose to move my filming day instead, because that's the kindest available option. Or if I feel avoidant and demand repelled, then I will choose a 5-minute version of the task instead. Or if I miss a week, then I will reopen the planner at the current moon phase and not restart from the beginning. You know, it's not about setting yourself up for these, it's about knowing what to do when it happens. Once you've completed the previous stages, you can then integrate everything into your general life. You might want to check that you know what your anchors and intentions are, you understand your energy patterns, you have at least one micro spell that you can do, and that you give yourself permission to rest and return at any time. You know, the moon doesn't rush and you don't need to either. So the next part is just an add-on addition to this. You do not have to look at it, you do not have to print it. It can be used if you like, it's not a necessity, but if you are a person who struggles with energy dipping and things like that, then this will probably be beneficial. So it's the dark moon phase, and it's for days where your energy is just incredibly low. You feel completely foggy, your body doesn't work properly, your brain doesn't work properly, You know, you feel like you need to push forward, but you just can't. So any days where you have complete shutdown, you have a chronic illness flare up, you might be grieving, or you're completely overwhelmed. Now, I do have a separate overwhelm breakdown, but this will also work. Look at naming the fog. We don't judge it, and I have given examples here. So different fog days need different responses. You can circle one of these, or you can make a list of your own. Things like exhausted or no spoons, overstimulated, emotionally heavy, anxious, avoidant, in pain. You might feel sick, you might have burnout, or you're unsure but you just know you feel bad. And then at the bottom there's a section for if your body could speak today, what would it say? Now that's a really good exercise. There is a little bit of leftover space here. Then we move on to one thing or none. So on the dark moon days, productivity rules are suspended. So you're not looking at pushing through, you're looking at how you can deal with the situation you're in. You can choose one of the following, or you can skip it entirely. So I have some examples. My only job today is to rest. My only job today is to stay regulated. My only job today is to eat, drink and exist. My only job today is to not make things worse. Or you can write your own. My only job today is, and fill in the blank. If you need to do something small to feel like you've achieved, then there's also a list of examples here. You might drink water, eat something easy, you might sit and lie down or open a window, you may just change your clothes, do a 5-minute task. It all depends on where you're at in that moment. The task could be something like cancelling something else. So if you're due to meet friends for dinner, you might have to cancel or postpone something. You then have some blank space for any personal options that you want to do. If the task isn't on there, you might feel well enough to clean the bath, I don't know, and you write that down. We then have some information. So it doesn't undo your progress to feel like this. Foggy days don't erase your past effort, your future potential, your intentions or your worth. You just need to concentrate on how you are now, and nothing else needs to be made up for. And then at the bottom, when you're ready, when you start to feel a bit better, you can then return. You might reopen your planner, choose a new micro spell, you might revise any expectations, or you might decide to start afresh. And last but not least, we have the closing cycle, which is just a little bit of information at the end of how things come together, where you can find me on socials, and that's it. That is it. So I hope this is helpful for someone, and I hope it gives you a little bit more understanding on how you can fill it out. I will do an example of filling this out and film it and pop it on YouTube to go with this. I'll create a playlist to go with it. And just remember, this system exists because you're not broken. You do not need fixing, you just need rhythm, structure that bends, and you need permission to rest and return. So this workbook, I will leave a link in the description where you can download it if you think it might be helpful. And if you're experimenting with lunar planning, then tell me in the comments which phases feel most natural to you at the moment. The moon will cycle, energy will shift, and you are allowed to move with those phases too. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you next time. Bye! you.